Hello everyone, and welcome to my 9th race for Apex Racing League. We are at Singapore in Marina Bay. I am of course driving my Ferrari. As normal, you join me on my outlap for my best qualifying lap. As you can see there, only 1 minute 30 odd to go, so this is going to be my last lap of the session. I've currently done a 40.5 as you can see in the top right, but I am currently on pole, but I certainly can go faster than that. My best in practice was a 39.7, so definitely can go faster, but we'll see. So pushing very hard in the first corner then. Very tricky braking for that third corner, I believe it is. Possibly second corner. Very tricky not to lock your wheels in there. So careful not to get all four wheels across the white line then. Just accidentally clipping the curb on the inside. You want to avoid that if you can. They just clip it slightly, but it didn't really cost me any time. So DRS wide open then for the run to the end of the first sector. Let's see, am I up on my previous time? I am almost 2 tenths up on my previous time. So far on for a 40.3. But I can certainly go faster than that. So braking late then into this next corner. Pushing very hard. As I said, I am currently on pole, but I do need to improve my time because I'm expecting others to improve, but we'll see. Currently it's Rennie in second, Ben in third, Christian in fourth. So only 40 seconds left of the session, so this will be my last lap of the qualifying rather. So car in front of him there, does he get out of the way? He does nicely. DRS wide open, cut in front of him there. Braking, very tricky braking there for the very tight left-hander. Come up to the end of the second sector now then, DRS wide open, use the rest of my curves. All the way up for the gears. Am I up? I am 3 tenths up, so currently on for a 40.2, so I need to go half a second up if I want to match my personal best, but I don't think I'm really going to manage that on this lap. Still looking pretty good though, just need to not make any mistakes. Right down into second gear then, all over the curbs. Oh, there's a sour spun there, he just retires at last second. Not people retiring at the bottom there. Coming under this tunnel then. Coming now halfway through the final sector. Nearly at the end of the lap. It's looking pretty good so far, isn't it? Not really made any mistakes. Could have been better, but it's not been bad at all. So into the final corner now then. Getting a little bit wide, opening DRS quite late. What is it? It's a 40.003, so 3 thousandths into the 40s. Very close indeed, but I'm happy with that. It's managed to get me pole anyway, as you can see there, confirmation. Rani second, Ben third, and Zomak actually wound up in fourth with Christian in fifth there. So a couple of shots then off Marina Bay here in Singapore. Of course, it's a night race, so the skies are dark and the lights are on. So straight into the strategy then. First pit is going to be on lap 9. It's a 2-stop race for a set of the primes, and then a pit on lap 22 for a quick stint on the options at the end. And I set my fuel there to be normal, as you can see. So usually I go for, I can't remember what it is, but when it gives you plenty of fuel. But this race it's better to have less fuel. So straight into setup then, 1-1 wings, 47.53 high large brakes, 5.11 balance, suspension 3.399, gears like that, very very short indeed. And there's my camber and toe settings. Not going to bother reading those out, but been playing my setup a little bit on this track. Had to compromise a little bit for tyre wear, as tyre wear is incredibly high on this track. I was finding that with a aggressive setup, my tyres were dead by lap 9, so couldn't have that. Anyway, to the race now. So we've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights as we wait for them to go out, and they're out and we're away. So straight to Rich then. Trying to minimise wheel spin. I do indeed manage to minimise wheel spin across the line there. So braking into first corner then. Looks like I've managed it. Kept everyone at bay. I have indeed. So right down to first gear then for this next corner. Is Rani still behind me? He is indeed. Christian looks like he's behind him in third. It's been a good start for me. I've already got a little bit of a gap to Rani, but I need to push now to extend that gap. I was 8 tenths ahead of him in quali, so I'm hoping that I should be faster than him in the race, providing he hasn't got a particularly good race setup. So coming to the end of the first sector then, we will get a gap back to Rani. There it is, 6 tenths only, so it's not much, but of course it has only been 1 sector of the race. 1.4 already back to Christian, so it's been a little bit of a slow start for everyone behind. And I can tell you, with the advantage of hindsight, that Ben actually made a bit of a mistake into the first corner and then spun around again, so we had effectively 2 spins on the first lap, and he is now way back in 14th, so the third to the back on the minimap there, that's Ben. So it's looking very very good for the championship indeed. If I can hold on to this win and Ben stays that far down, it will give me a huge advantage. I believe I'm something like 36 points behind him at the moment, so I need to average at least 7 points per race in order to be able to win the championship, ideally a bit more. So 8 tenths now to Rani then, so another couple of tenths in the middle sector. Still need to push hard though to get him out of the DRS zone and hopefully crush his hopes. It's always good to do that. If I'm way too far ahead, he probably won't even bother trying, but if I'm within reach, he'll probably push hard, be quicker, and might even be able to catch me. So I need to push very hard then in this opening stint, while also trying to conserve the tyres, particularly under wheel spin. Be very, very careful with the throttles. He's made a bit of a mistake there to get on the brakes. That's certainly give me a big advantage. Oh, I went a bit wide there in the final corner. What's the gap going to be then? I think it'll be over a second now. Yes, well over a second. 1.6 seconds it is. So 47.3 from me on the first lap then. Coming to the first corner now. Being careful not to cut any corners. Don't want to be doing that and be at risk of a penalty. So braking now then. Coming into the very long straight. Just skim that curb. That's exactly where you want to be. More or less perfect racing line there. Could do a turning in a little bit later, but that's what we want to do. Just skim the curb. Don't quite touch it. So end of the first sector then, have I gained even more? It was 1.6 at the beginning of the lap. Have I gained any more? I have 2 seconds. I've gained another 4/10 on him, so looks like he might be fighting with Christian, which is be slowing him down, so that's always a good thing. So already 2 seconds back to the second person, running the second lap then. It's going to be hopefully a fast lap of the race for me on this next lap. I need to continue to push hard. Always like to get the fastest laps. It's always a good little trophy to have. So coming now then, well into the second sector. Bouncing over those curbs. You can really hear me being careful on the throttle. You'll hear me particularly on the exit of this corner. Just listen to the throttle usage. So being very progressive. Just little bits of wheel spin. Oh, Randy struggles for grip once again there. A little bit of wheel spin, but not a lot at all. Being very, very careful with the rear tyres. As I mentioned previously, tyre is incredibly high on this track. So 2 seconds up then on my previous lap. 2.1 to Randy's. I'm only getting a 10th in the middle sector. That's not very much. He looks pretty quick in this race, Randy. I do believe it's him I was fighting in Spa. Fighting tooth and nail for, I believe it's 5th and 6th. And he ended up beating him in the end, so I know he's certainly a formidable racer. I need to make sure I stay well away from him. Don't want to be in any battles on this track. Sunmore destroys his vehicle there. I believe that was a little incident at the back, pushing into the barrier. Not the back, I think it's about 8th place or so that happened. So there we go, a bit disappointed for him. But anyway, fast lap so far then, 44.9 purple, but is anyone going to beat it? 2.5 back to Rani, so I've beaten him by almost a second on this lap alone. I believe, is it 1.6 at the beginning of this lap? I think it was. So someone else, Lineos there, I forgot to mention, is my new teammate. He's a Ferrari driver now, but unfortunately he destroyed his vehicle. He was involved in that incident with Sunmore. It wasn't his fault, but he was involved in it, so unfortunately he's destroyed his vehicle now as well. So no points for Ferrari from him. Hopefully I can score a nice solid amount though for Ferrari. I do ideally want to win the Constructors as well, but I don't think that's all that likely now. Only just quit. Unfortunately the league tables this season at least don't support drivers coming in and out, so I've lost all the points that he gained for Ferrari. So I've only really got my points plus Lineos's, but of course he hasn't got any at the moment. This is a bit disappointing. Next season they are going to update the system so that when people do leave, the team still keeps the points, which will be good. But for now, Ferrari doesn't look like it's going to win the Constructors. It was looking good before. It was between us and Toro Rosso with Ben. Ooh, so I get a bit of oversteer there on the entry. Had to quickly correct some oversteer under braking there. So I'm actually 300ths up then on my previous lap, so it's looking like it could go faster, but of course I've already made that mistake in this sector, so it's not looking good so far. Look on the right side there, look, only lap 3 and my tyres are already pretty worn. Really, it's not great. Tyre wear is so high, particularly with high fuel in the beginning of the race. Tyres just don't last. As I said, in practice I tried going with aggressive setup and wound up with my rear tyres completely gone by lap 9, to the extent whereby I'd turn into a corner and the car would just spin and go straight. So we skip a few laps now, onto lap 9 then, which is on the right hand side there. It's convenient that my tyres are pretty warm, but they're not as bad as they were. They were, ooh, as I get on the curb there though and wind up very sideways, I have to get on the brakes hard. Just about managed to recover it, lost me probably a couple of seconds there though. Could have been worse, could have hit the barrier, but that wasn't great. That did happen in my tyre wear test video, if anyone's seen it. That curb is slightly glitched if you get on it with the wrong amount of tyre wear, right amount of fuel load, just the wrong angle. I think it does spin you around. It's pretty rare, but it does happen, and it just happened to me there, so need to be wary of that one later in the race. I was actually testing for that in practice, but it didn't happen at all. But of course it does happen in the race, always the way, isn't it? But there we go, no harm done. It's just cost me around a second or so, but I built the gap. As you can see there to Rani, it's 4.4 after that mistake, and he's got a little gap now behind him, but I do believe that they've pitted behind him, so I'm not sure. We're in the pit stop window now, so it's all a bit up in the air. Also note, Ben did start on the prime tyres, so he could be a threat towards the end of the race, potentially, even though he made the mistakes. If that strategy does turn out to be better, it could be, but 1.8 then I've lost on this lap, looks like. But yeah, I was saying, the my practice told me that it'd be better to go on the primes to have a better quali, and then go on the options in quali to have better quali, then go on primes in the middle stint, and then go to options at the end there, just so it can be nice and fast at the end, so make sure no one can overtake me. That's what my practice told me anyway. Something like between half a second and a second difference between the options and primes in quali. Ooh, was a bit of oversteer on the exit there. I'm going to be coming to the pits at the end of this lap though, so braking there, and I'm going to be diving over the curb, so that's fully legal in the league. There is no rules against pit entry, there's only rules against pit exit. You're not allowed to cross the line. So into the pits now then. Can they get it in 3 seconds? They can't, only just so, but that's still a good stop. So happy with that, wasn't too slow. So then, so slow, only 37 miles an hour as you can see on the wheel there. It's incredibly slow in the pits. In this track, there's someone coming on the outside. Is that Ben? I think it could well be. He hasn't pitted yet, as I said, he started on the primes, so he won't have pitted yet. So that would be good if I could overtake him. Need to push hard and try and catch up. As I accidentally choose the primes there actually. I was trying to do that, set to standard mix, but I accidentally chose the primes while I'm now in the brakes, so I'm making a big mess of these options on the left hand side here. There we go, options for the final stint, and I'm now on standard mix, but very cold tyres, so they do already feel better though, even though they're cold. They feel like they've got more grip than the last set of tyres. So 2.2 to Ben then, as we cross the end of first sector line. Let's see if I can close that gap and hopefully overtake him. So if I manage to overtake him, I'm an entire pit ahead of him, so it doesn't look like he's going to be too much of a threat in the race. Oh, there's a bit of debris there, must have hit the wall and damaged his front wheel, I reckon. There's a bit of debris flying across the track there. So I'm definitely close to him. You can see visually how much closer I am to him. So can I get close enough to him to mount a overtaking attack? 1.2, so yes, over a second I've gained in the middle sector alone. Wow, he's obviously struggling a lot on his prime tyres. They are 10 laps old now. Of course mine are brand spanking new, so on the same tyres, but big difference in the tyre ages and the level of wear. So very close to him now. I reckon I'm less than a second. Yep, probably around there. So lining up an overtake then, hopefully for the DRS zone of the next lap, which is on the long straight. Coming into the final sector now then. As no, he decides to pull over and go into the pits. He obviously likes to take the proper entry. I guess he might have done that because I was in front of him though. But there we go, that ruined that bit of fun, didn't it? So Vernie's next then, 4.4 ahead. I expect he's probably gone for the primes as well. And manually just tells me that he's got minor front wing damage as well. So hopefully I can catch him. You can see visually I'm pushing harder now. Trying to go for a fastest lap. Gone to Rich now. Christian does a fast lap of 44.1, but it's only about 8/10 faster than what I've done on heavy fuel at the beginning. So, as I run very wide there, they locked the inside wheel a little bit. Brake too late really. Locked the inside wheel and run a little bit wide, but it didn't really cost me any time. Well, it did. It probably cost me about half a second or so, but nothing major. So, definitely gaining on Vernie there. I think it was 4.4, being this up now 3.7. So, gaining on him very, very much indeed. Again, pushing hard. I want a bit of fun on this track. At the moment I'm quite a way ahead. Chicane's the next nearest guy behind me. He's also, ooh, as I get a bit tight to the wall there and actually wind up touching at my side pod and pushing me right out wide there. That cost me a bit of time, definitely. So what's saying, the Chicane has joined for this race only as a reserve. So someone dropped out. Yorkie dropped out. So Chicane has joined as a reserve. So he's behind me, 5 seconds behind me. I'm not sure he's pitted or not. Still 5 seconds, so regardless, I'm not too worried about him for the moment, unless he's gone for an alternative strategy and he's going to be really quick. But for the moment, at least, I'm not too worried. So I've definitely gained on Vernie, but with that mistake, I've probably lost about a second or so. So he's now coming into the pits. Looks like he's taking Ben's entry there. Ooh, I touched the car with the inside there and launches the car in the air. Rich mixture then. Let's go for a fastest lap. That was a 45.8, so that wasn't even my best lap with that mistake. But now I'm going to push very hard and see what I can do on these prime tyres in the middle stint. Lap 12 then of 31, so we're not even halfway through this race. It's a long old race, but of course I've edited it down for your viewing pleasure. But I can tell you, when I was driving it, it did feel like a very long race. Round about lap 16, 17, 18 or so, I was looking at the lap counter thinking, God, I can't believe I've got over 10 laps still to go. In Monza we'd be pretty much finished by then. It's a big difference. So 2/10 up then, purple, fastest of anyone so far. It's been a very good first sector. You can see just touching the wall there, pushing very hard. Touching the inside curve there slightly, 5.2 now to chicane, so I've gained about 2/10 or so on him. Bishop Banter's behind him, 4 seconds behind him. Again, I'm not sure what pit strategy people have gone for, so I'm not sure the correct order for the moment. People could still be out on their prime tyres they started on. Not too sure. So managed to nail that hairpin there then. Didn't touch the wall on the inside, which is what I'm supposed to do all the time. You see the tyres are already starting to wear there. 1.8 up on my previous, so yes, indeed. Must have lost over a second, I reckon, with that mistake. But it's looking like it's going to be a good lap so far. Purple once again, so fastest of anyone still. 5.6 now chicane, so 6/10 so far gained on this lap. Feels very good on these tyres indeed. I'm not too worried about tyre wear. I've made it to lap 9 on my original set of options, so that's good enough. I'm happy with that. If I can do that, I'm not worried about the rest of the tyre wear for the rest of the race really. Still going to take it a little bit easy on the throttle. I didn't know out the exit that corner, did I? But still going to take it relatively easy on the throttle, just to make sure I don't completely burn my tyres away. But there we go, I've gone into standard now, so 43.4 is indeed a fast lap of the race, 2.3 up my previous. So we skip a few laps ahead now to the end of the prime stint. On the right hand side there you can see my tyres are quite worn. Lap 22 is when I'll be pitting. So only 2 more laps to go this lap, and I'll pit at the end of the next lap. So not far at all, and I've managed to pull a gap out on the guys behind me. Again, not too sure what they're doing in terms of strategy, but Ben is currently in second, but I believe he's just pitted for a set of the option tyres, I believe. So he's going to go 10 laps now on the options till the end. So end of the first sector then. 10 thousandths up on my previous, but we don't know what previous is because we didn't see that, so I'm not sure how quick that is, but it looked pretty good, so I shouldn't imagine it's too slow. So they're looking at the gap. Looks like Ben is indeed ahead of chicane, so looks like it's been a pretty good race for him. He's right up to second at the moment. As I said, not too sure how people's strategy is going to unfold, but he's 20 seconds behind me as it stands right now. But I believe, as I said, he just can't set the option tyre, so he should be hopefully, not hopefully, but he should be quicker than me. Oh, as I block my brakes there and run wide and actually lose a bit of my front wing there. Just braked a little bit too late, wind up locking my tyres slightly and just understeered straight into the barrier. Couldn't do much about that one by the time I had to hit the brakes. It was too late. 1.1 there I've lost with that little incident, so that's not great. But luckily it's only minor damage, and I'm going to pit very soon anyway, so it's not too much damage. And as you saw there, I am 20 seconds ahead of Ben anyway, so I'm not too worried, but hoping that I come out ahead of him. I'm not sure how long it takes. 18.8, so he's certainly quick. He's not slow. It was just over 20 seconds, so I know I made that mistake, but he's getting over a second on me, so he's certainly not slow at this stage in the race, Ben, but I think he's probably too far back to do anything about it. 10 laps to go. That means he needs about 2 seconds a lap on average on me to be able to catch me at that sort of distance, so I'll be surprised if he does catch me, but everything's possible. I need to keep my concentration up. I need to not make any mistakes, because if I make mistakes, that'll effectively gift it to Ben. I did consider pitting the last lap for a brand new wing as well, but decided against it. Decided that it wasn't really going to cost me too much time, so I decided to stay out instead. So 22 to Ben now then. Oh, it looks like, oh sorry, I think I might have made a mistake before. I think he's now coming to the pits for a brand new set of the option tyres. Could be wrong, or was it chicane? I don't know what's going on back there. We'll wait until we get the first sector gap times before I say anything more, because I just don't know at this stage. I've got the same information you've got. Mini right down the bottom left and the gap top left. So it looks like indeed Ben did pit, since he's now third behind chicane. And chicane's now second, so not sure if chicane's already pitted or not. Not too sure. And he's actually behind Rani now as well, looking on the minimap. Looks like he must be pretty close to him, I reckon. I think one of the cars behind us there is a lapped car. So I believe it's the 2 cars that are very close indeed. I believe one of those, well, the second one will be then is Ben. So he has had to pit now 33 seconds ahead of chicane, but of course we will probably both have to pit again. Or even if chicane doesn't have to pit, I'm still not too worried. I'll definitely come out ahead of him with 33 seconds spare, so even with a front wing change. So struggling with grip, as you can see there, just having to take it very easy, particularly with understeer. I'm going to now skip the first left-hander, or take the first left-hander rather, skip the second one and dive over the curb into the pits. Just a quick bit of oversteer there over the curb, give him a bit of a fright there. Could have fired me off into the pit wall and destroyed my vehicle, but luckily didn't. So 32 seconds back to chicane as we enter the pits then. new front wing going on the Ferrari there. 5.5 seconds, so it lost me around, what was it, 2.5 seconds or so with that front wing change. But again, hopefully that's not going to really affect me. There is someone coming down the pits now, but I believe it's a lapped car. Could be wrong. Didn't quite see what it was. Still not sure. Might have been a Lotus. Could be wrong. Taking it very easy on this pit exit. Then as that across that line, it gives you a penalty. So tight that pit exit. Very, very tricky. So just take it very, very easy. So again, ignore the gap top left till I've crossed this first sector line, and then we'll get a gap to everyone else. But not too worried. I've got 9 laps to go on these tyres, but I managed it in the first stint with heavy fuel, and now I've got light fuel, so I'm not worried about tyre wear at all now. Tyre wear is perfectly fine, so 20 seconds down on my previous from pitting. But what's going to be the gap to chicane? Only 6 seconds, so sounds like he's certainly had a good race. But I'm hoping I can pull a bit more of that out. I don't know what tyres he's on, but hopefully I can put a bit of a gap out to him on fresh tyres. I feel pretty good on this track. I felt good from day one of the practice. I felt like I could probably get pole. I felt quick. I felt at home with this track. I do like street tracks a lot. I like street tracks and tracks with tight corners just like this one. It suits my driving style. So I like this track. I like Monaco. I like Abu Dhabi as well. A lot of 90-degree corners and big braking spots, things like that. I do enjoy them. So 6.4 now to chicane. So of course my tyres are still coming up to temperature. But I'm still pushing hard, and you can see visually I'm still faster though than I was in the primes. Purely because my tyres aren't worn. So 5.8 back to Rani, so there is about 10 seconds or so. Just over that to Rani, so it's only really chicane I think that can threaten me. Rani would need over a second lap to me, which I don't think is going to happen unless I make any mistakes. But we'll see. Once again, looking on the minimap there, Rani and Ben are in very close quarters. But actually I'm hoping that Rani can stay ahead of Ben and slow him up very much. As I mentioned, chicane's a reserve driver, which unfortunately means he doesn't score any points as well. So even if he finishes ahead of Ben, Ben will get promoted 1 place. So at the moment Ben's effectively third, 15 points. It's 18 points per second, 25 for the win. So even if Ben comes second, he's done a fastest lap there, so he's clearly quick. Even if Ben comes second, I'm still going to gain 7 points on him if I win. So just need to win this race. Ooh, as I cut the corner ever just like there, I have to take another correction. Ooh, as he dives across me there. Luckily gave me enough room. Gave me a bit of a fright though, I can tell you, when I was racing, because of course I'm trying not to have any accidents. Keep it on the track. Gave me a bit of a fright, but there we go, it was all fair. So I was waiting then to pass him before I try and really set a fastest lap, because I knew that at some point he was going to get in the way and possibly slow me down a little bit. So I'm still pushing hard though, as you can see. Not hanging about at all. There's no need to. I want to get a nice big gap to the guys behind me, if I can. So what's the gap going to be then? It's only greens, it's not purple, it's not fast of anyone. Ben's still got that fastest lap for now. I want to take that off him if I can. On the triple pole, fast lap in the race win if I can. 7 seconds now back to chicane, so I'm certainly pulling away from him with reasonable ease, so I'm not too worried about him for the moment. Ben's looks like Ben's overtaken Rani then. Ben's now third, 6.6 behind chicane, so around about 12 or 13 seconds or so to Ben from me now. So unfortunately he's passed Rani, so if he can stay, even if he just stays there, he'd have effectively got second. I've only gained 7 points on him. Oh, I do manage a fast lap the race there, 42.5, but I can certainly go quicker than that. Ooh, as I locked the wheel slightly in the first corner though, running a little bit wide. Fuel is only optimal on the right hand side there, but I've gone to Rich. I'm pushing hard. I want a good fast lap. I reckon people can beat that. So I want to push very hard and get a fast lap. I've got plenty of time to go to lean if I need to. Still got 6 laps left, so I'm not too worried about fuel really, as long as it doesn't get too bad. So look on the minimap there, looks like Ben is a little way ahead of Rani now, unfortunately. So it looks like Rani hasn't really got the pace to stay with him. He's not as close to Ben as Ben was to him when he was in front. So 3 tenths up first sector then. Bearing in mind that last lap was the fast lap of the race, so I'm 3 tenths up on the fastest at the moment. Can I keep it all on the track? But continues to push hard. Bouncing right over the curbs there. Unsettles the rear slightly, have to correct it a little bit. Heavy braking. Very tentative braking into that chicane. Not chicane, it's a hairpin. 1 lap, -1 of fuel there on the right hand side. So I am losing fuel, but 8 tenths up my previous. Wow, didn't think there was that much time in it, but I'm almost a second up now. Let's see if I can gain another couple of tenths and go a second up in this final sector. As I was saying that, -1 fuel on the right hand side there. So I will definitely need to do some fuel conservation in the final laps, but I'd rather push for a fastest lap now, even though there's a bit of fuel on board, but of course the tyres are at their freshest. So 10.7 back to chicane, so certainly gaining heaps and bounds on him, 15 or so to Ben, so I'm gaining a lot of time while pushing this hard. So into the final corner then, can I go a second up my previous? I can, just over a second, so it's a 41.5 then, so it's certainly worth pushing for that extra lap. As we skip now to lap 30, so 2 more laps to go. As I go to lean now, just to make sure I can definitely get to the end of the race. I've been doing a lot of lean mixture fuel conservation over the last few laps, but I think mostly it's okay now. But Ben did wind up catching and overtaking chicane, but he's 17.6 seconds behind me now, so I'm pushing hard. I want to hopefully get that over 20 seconds. Bit of a landmark for me. Would quite like to have pole, race win, fastest lap, and be over 20 seconds to the next guy. That would be good. So as I run wide there, get a bit of oversteer over the curb. 2 tenths up. Then on my previous, again we're not sure what my previous is. On to standard mix now. So coming to the end. No, we're not actually. That's the next straight is going to be the end of the second sector. Getting a bit confused there. I was looking on the mini-map thinking, hang on a minute, no I'm not. 17.7 to Ben then. So I am certainly putting the gap out, but I need to push hard to get to that 20 seconds. I've only got 2 laps left to go, so I need to gain over a second per lap. Everything's this lap and the next lap. I always better get over 20 seconds, but I'm pushing hard, trying to make it a reality. Ooh, I went a bit wide there, brake a little bit too late. And let's see, that's a back marker next on the mini-map. I believe the next car's Ben. Could be wrong. I also need to be careful not to bin it in the wall, of course, because at the moment I'm almost guaranteed the race win as long as I don't make any mistakes. But I still want to push hard and get over 20 seconds. I feel like, as I said before, I feel confident. 18.4 to Ben, so I've gained quite a bit of time. I feel confident on this track. I feel confident I'm not going to bin it in the wall easily. The only thing that nerves me really is the first corner, that horrible curb that can spin you out. That's the only thing really that unnerves me particularly. Other than that, I feel pretty confident on this track, despite being a very tight, twisty, long street circuit. It's very tricky, but I still feel good. So, fair play to Ben. As I said, he was in 14th after the first lap. So 18.9, so a second only in this final lap. It's going to be very close. As I said, yeah, been a fantastic race from Ben. I haven't really seen much of his race edit, but I usually send a video response to this video that you can see below the video if you want to check that out. But as I said, I think it's been a fantastic race. 14th after the first lap he was, to get all the way up to second, even though he's 20 seconds behind me more or less. That's still quite an achievement. Must have been a fantastic race for him. After those initial couple of mistakes, he must have been very consistent, very quick. But really, he was pretty much 20 seconds. 19.5 now then, so only half a second after the first sector that was, so might have already gained it. We'll see. 20 seconds we need to wait now, more or less, till we find out the gap. So I'm a 10th up my previous, so I'm going well, but I need to not make any mistakes. So that's the lap car coming across the line. Looking on the mini-map, Ben's the next car to come across the line. He's on his way now towards the end of the second sector. What's it going to be? Is it going to be over 20 seconds? It is a 20.6 with just over 20 seconds, so I've achieved what I wanted to achieve there. That's good. So final sector, I haven't really made any mistakes, so I should hope that it's going to come out even more than that. And let's see if I can keep it over 20 seconds as I keep turning now to come right over to the pit wall. Have a bit of a celebration. So indeed there, 21.4 seconds ahead of him, so I was just over 20 seconds, which is what I wanted to achieve. And as I said, I think it was a good race from Ben after making those couple of mistakes in the beginning, but only 7 points gained on him. That's still going to help me in the championship, and I show you now an incident that I got a 20-second time penalty for, but luckily still managed to win the race. Right now, I'm swerving the wheel because I've not set my wheel settings up correctly, so I have to take a couple of stabs at the exit, wind up actually hitting the wall, and pause it here to change the settings, but my car actually dives over onto the racing line, and it's just slowing down and stopping the racing line, causing a few incidents. It's not great, so I just panic and quickly change the settings. It's pointless going back out of the menu now and having to do it again at a point somewhere else. So, as I said, my controller wasn't set up properly. I knew I was going to probably bin it in the wall, so I did it. I made a mistake though. I shouldn't have done it there. I should have done another point of track, but I got a 20-second time penalty because that McLaren there on the right hand side. Victor, he got a penalty for that. Unfortunately, got a 10-place grid penalty, which is incredibly harsh. I thought I was going to get a penalty for blocking, but I didn't. But anyway, you protested that, which I think is fair enough. And I got a 20-second time magnitude, but fortunately I did push hard at the end of that race, and it meant that I still won it. So as you can see there, confirmation, I was first, Ben was second. We've returned to our original form. We've had a couple of races off, and we're back now to our original form. And now it's 36 points, I believe, to Ben. It was more than that before. It must have been, what, 43 points before. So now it's 36 points to Ben. So I now need to average 6 points per race, and then we'll be identical on points. But at the moment I would win purely because I've got more race wins. So 6 points per race, that's hopefully probably another couple of race wins, I would say, ideally. But I do definitely need to beat him in every single race if I can. So the hunt for the championship is still most definitely on. I look forward to the next race in Japan. That's in 2 weeks' time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.